I think you know why we're here today. It's to welcome Adam Simpson as the new coach of the West Coast Eagles Football Club. And Adam, on behalf of the club, we're delighted to have you here. Just quickly on the process. Obviously, when John resigned, we straight away went into a very thorough search process. Some of that was delayed by the fact that some of the candidates were still playing in the finals. But having worked through that thorough process, we ended up with 4 names. And I'll talk about all of them because 3 of the candidates were unsuccessful. I think are outstanding candidates and will continue to add enormous value at the clubs they're at. And one day, if they get a senior coaching gig, I'm sure they'll be excellent at that too. So I'd like to publicly thank Lee Tudor, Peter Sumich and Scott Burns for both doing excellent presentations and for the commitment they gave to apply to the job. Obviously, after that consideration, we looked at all the names and we're very excited to have Adam join us. Adam's pedigree, I think, is exceptional. He played with North Melbourne over 300 games, has been an All-Australian player, has captained North Melbourne, has been a premiership player. In his early days at North Melbourne, he realised he wanted to coach and has done a lot of personal development to make sure he reached that goal, and that's obviously a goal you have to earn. They're very hard gigs to get. And since he stopped his playing career after, as I said, over 300 games, has then gone on to be part of a very successful coaching team at Hawthorn. So he's had some wonderful tutelage under people like Alistair Clarkson and in the past Dennis Pagan. So we're really excited about the fact that we have a new coach. I think Adam is exactly the right person we need for this stage of our development as a club. We have very high expectations as a club and will continue to have high expectations. We know we've got work to do, and Adam is very excited about that challenge, and I think he'll be a wonderful addition to the West Coast Eagles family. Before I take any questions, or more importantly, Adam takes any questions, Adam, maybe you want to say a couple of words?
Oh, look, just obviously thanks for the opportunity. Been a fantastic ride the last week, starting with the premiership with Hawthorn Football Club. Going through the process has been a real experience. Obviously, getting the job. Can't wait to get started. Can't wait to meet the staff, the people, the players. We've got some work to do, but I'm really keen to get going and appreciate everything that's been done for me so far. But the work's just begun.
So with that, we'll turn it open to questions. I'm sure there's a couple out there.
Alan, what was the standout characteristic you think that got Adam to the line?
2 things that struck me. One, Adam's a driven man. He made a decision as a player that he wanted to be a coach and didn't just sit there with his fingers crossed. Did a lot of work about his own self-development off his own back, and Adam can talk about it more than me, but even when he was playing at North Melbourne, he was informally part of the coaching structure. The second thing for me that I think is very important in this club is that we are looking for somebody who can innovate and who can lead us in a new direction. I've said unashamedly we're disappointed with the results over the last year, and I think Adam is somebody that will continue to grow, has shown a real appetite to continue to learn, and I think that's very important for any organisation, let alone a football club.
How much of a factor was that Adam would bring professional ideas from outside as opposed to maybe being seen to take the club further down in the existing path?
That was important to us. We're looking for somebody who can innovate and show us that through their history that they can continue to learn and develop. I think it's very important too that we have somebody whose leadership style is very much about engaging with the players and collaborating with the players to develop something that we're all proud of. So it was a consideration, Mark, as with any job or any position that you're filling. There's a whole bunch of characteristics, and you look at the total combination as to what the best combination is for the club at a certain point of time. The 3 other candidates, I meant what I said, they were outstanding in their presentations, they're outstanding in their abilities. They all do good jobs where they are, and one day I'm sure 1 or 2 or maybe all 3 of them will get a senior gig and they'll do a really good job of it. But for us right now, we thought Adam was the best candidate we could find, and he'll be fantastic for this club.
What excites you most about taking over the role of senior coach at West Coast?
The club in general is it's such a big club, such a big organisation. The way it's governed, it's really admired from the east. The list is pretty strong. There's obviously some room for improvement from last year. The general culture is admired from the East as well. So all those things combined, it's a really exciting position to be in.
What do you first time coach, Adam? Do you feel like you'd be anywhere better than, I guess, coaching West Coast?
Sorry?
As a first time coach, coming to West Coast with the support structures in place, the amount of money behind the club, do you feel like this is a perfect fit for a first time coach?
Oh, the most important thing about any football club is the people. So, there's good people here. I've met a number of them already, and I can tell it's governed well and there's good people. So that's the most important thing, including the football department, of course.
What do you think are the key attributes that got you the job over the other three?
Oh, look, I can't answer that question. All I can say is the way I presented and what I can bring to this club, what I've learned over the years, how to educate, and it's a big thing that came from Hawthorn that I learned is how to educate and develop players. The importance of good people, obviously, as I've mentioned, my experiences, those type of things I spoke about in my presentation, but I can't tell you what the others.
It's early days so far, but where do you see the coaching group, and do you have anyone in minds come across the club?
Oh, look, I've got a few people in mind, but it is early days, so we need to get through today, and then I'm going to get cracking because it is pretty late in the year in terms of trying to recruit new coaches.
Do you see West Coast back into the finals firstly? Do you see West Coast back into the finals next year? Are you going to back off that, or are you strong on that?
Look, I'm not going to make any closed-ended statements about where they'll finish next year, but we'd expect improvement. This club is built on success and expectation, and I'm fully aware of that.
Do you feel at your age, 37, a few years in the system already at Hawthorn, that you're ultimately ready to take this head coaching job?
Yeah, I think the grey hair suggests I'm ready to go. There's only so much Just Men you can put in before you give up. So, look, it's something I feel I've been preparing for a long time. I've been coaching for 4 years at Hawthorn. I think the experience there has been unbelievable. 3 prelims and 2 grand finals. But I've been preparing for a long time before that. And
did you seek any advice from people through the process?
Oh, yeah, tremendous amount of advice. And that's what you have to do to get these type of jobs. You can't do it on your own. There's been a whole team trying to help me over not just the last few weeks, but the last 10 years.
And what about Peter Bell? Did you seek, I know you're pretty good friends with him, he's obviously understands the footy landscape pretty well over here.
He's a close friend of mine, Peter, and someone who I admired as a player and as a close friend. So we constantly talk for a number of things, not just football. So.
Saying that, have you brought a ticket to the Eagles, like saying, these are the sort of people I'd like to have around me when I take over?
There's no doubt you need people you can trust when you're starting off in a job. From what I can gather, the people already here are made of the right stuff. But there is some guys I want to talk to. We'll find out in the next few days where they're at. But it's really just at the beginning at the moment. I can't comment too much on that. I'm not sure.
Let me handle that. Scott was disappointed he didn't get the job. Scott again adds an enormous amount of value to this club. We're very keen for Scott to stay, and we've offered him a contract, and that's obviously a decision for Scott. But we'd be delighted if he did, and obviously we'll work very hard to make that happen.
Do you want him, Adam, to stay?
I'd love him to stay. Yep. But we understand his situation and what he's been through in the last week, so we'll have conversations in the next 24 hours.
What are your trading and drafting priorities?
At the moment, I'm not going to comment on that. I need to really sit down with the club and find out their philosophies and where they're at and what their thoughts are. I think it'd be reasonably disrespectful for me to come in and make assumptions. So once we find out where we're at and I can get a good handle on things, then I'll contribute.
What a role for Daniel Kerr to play? Do you have a role for Daniel Kerr to play? Or
Once again, I've not spoken to powers that be about players and retirements and delistings and all those type of things. So that'll come probably this afternoon.
From a drafting perspective, if we can find a centre forward that would like to play for us for 9 years and we give him $10 million, we'd probably take it.
He was part of the package.
are you declaring in the race for Frank?
No, I'm not.
Adam, how concerning is it that the trade week starts today and you've only just been put for the job? Are you worried that you might be left behind from some of the clubs?
No, not really. No, once again, I'm aware that people here know more about the list than I do. I've got judgments that I've made from afar, but I think to put those decisions in good hands, and I'll be part of the process, but at the moment I'll be learning more than I'll be making decisions.
Just from your player of interest.
Well, I was part of the coaching group with Shane for 4 years. Once again, I can't comment on who we're going to get and what we're going to target because I just haven't sat down with him yet and really discussed the needs for individual players.
What about just in general? What does West Coast need to be better next year in your first year than this year where we were disappointed with what happened?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. the pillars of my philosophy are pretty similar to a lot of coaches, I suppose. The competitive instinct's number one. I think flexibility for me, I'd like to develop the players into dual role type of capabilities and not just be stuck in one position. That's important about how you educate. And of course, you know, the leadership of the group and where they're at, I'll find out a bit more about that in the coming weeks. But you know, those two are the main ones, along with football intelligence. It's really important to me. So I need to assess where they're at in terms of where they are with the modern game.
And what excites you about currentness at Hawthorn, I suppose?
Well, the club in general. It's not just the list; it's the whole organisation. The support I've had already in the last 24 hours has been sensational. They're obviously well resourced, and the list is strong.
What style of play do you envisage coaching?
Yeah, well, one thing is we're not Hawthorn, so I don't want you guys to think we're going to become a clone of Hawthorn Football Club. But there will be things that I'll take away from that organisation that I'll have to, because they're exceptional at what they do. The main part about what Hawthorn do is they educate really well, the players. So whatever your style of play is, if you can't educate and teach it, then you're in strife. So there'll be things about Hawthorn that we do, but we'll be our own team.
Alan, people are going to wonder about Peter Strange.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why you didn't?
I'm not going to give Peter a public performance appraisal. Peter's an outstanding candidate. He's a good friend of the club's. He's obviously disappointed to get the role, as anyone would be. If you apply for a role, you'd obviously have an expectation that you'd like to get it. I would like to catch up with Peter. I talked to him last night, and hopefully we can catch up at a later stage. That's up to Peter, but I've offered that. But yeah, at the end of the day, when we looked at the candidates and we looked at what this club needed, then Adam came up trumps.
What did you make of his reaction and his criticism?
I'm fine. Peter was disappointed. He's an outstanding football person. He's done a wonderful job for this club, either as a player or a coach, and we wish him all the best at Fremantle. He's grown a lot, both under John Worsfold and Ross Lyon, and he'll continue to do an exceptional job wherever he is.
Did you want someone from outside of the Eagles' experience? Is that why Adam's more of a priority?
No, it wasn't a criteria at all. We looked at the best person for the job, whether they came from inside or outside, and we thought Adam was the best person for the job. And the more I serve Adam, the more I'm convinced we made the right decision.
Adam, are you ready for a two-team town compared to a 10 in Melbourne?
Probably not. Probably not, but there's no way you can find out until you get here. So tremendously respectful of John and what he's done in the past, and that'll never go. So I'm hoping that I can bounce a few things off him in the coming weeks.
Do you feel any added pressure, sort of coming into a position, first one on the back of the Worsfold era and a club legend?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. I think there's pressures in every senior coaching position, different pressures in different clubs, but I'm not worried about that.
So you'd like to talk to him, would that just be a consultancy and almost an official one, or would you have him back in the group if he wanted to have anything to do with his club?
I haven't spoken to him yet, and he might not want to speak to me, but the relationship that I think that he has with the club, it's held in such high esteem. I think at least touching base is important.
John has reached out through the club and said he'd like to catch up with Adam, and again, that's a sign of John's character and his integrity. He cares a lot about this organisation, and he's very keen that the outstanding success he built over a number of years continues, and whatever John can do to help Adam, I'm sure he'll add value.
Alan, was there any reaction from John?
I rang him last night. I think he's up in Broome. It went through to voicemail, but he rang the club back either last night or this morning. So no, I haven't had a direct conversation with him, but again, I know John very well. He cares a lot about this club and our success in the future, and obviously he's built a wonderful foundation for which Adam to take this club forward. And like anyone coming into a new job, your job is to take it from where it is today and improve it, and then hand it on to somebody else who will further improve it. So, you know, Adam will be the right person to take us forward.
Adam, can you just give us a bit of a rundown about your coaching journey and when you first caught the coaching bug, whether that is a player or young?
Yeah, I played at North Melbourne for 15, 16 years. I probably should know that. I think it's 16 years. Captained from 2004 onwards for 5 years, and it's around that time where I had a bit of a passion to try and teach some strategies within the midfield at North Melbourne. That grew and grew to the point where I was trying to find ways to better myself as a coach, a potential coach. Spoke to Dave Whedon through the Coaches Association, come up with a bit of a pilot program to develop players who want to be coaches, and I think he's excelled in that now, and I think he's got 7 or 8 players, current day players, doing the same program. That sort of started the ball rolling. Got to a fantastic club in Hawthorn with great teachers and educators, and it's pretty much gone from there. So it's more 8 to 10 years in the making, I would have thought.
And you're not the first coach to come from the Hawks, Clarkson regime. How important has Alistair's influence been?
Well, like I said earlier, it feels like it's been 4 years, but it's been 4 years with 3 prelims, 2 grand finals, 1 premiership. The way he manages his players and staff is something that he won't sit down and talk to you about, but you'll just observe, and he'll give you, once he gets your trust, he'll give you the freedom to educate the players and teach and coach the way you want to go about it. But the way he's operated in the last 3 or 4 years, there's no surprise. He's been coaching for 10 years at the one club, and I've got no doubt they'll extend that.
What's the process from here, Adam? When do you move into your offices and that kind of stuff? When do you actually start the job?
My feet haven't hit the ground yet, to be honest. I've made a couple of flights here and back since Monday. I've got to touch base with the family, reintroduce myself with Nikki and the kids. It's been difficult throughout the finals, trying to prepare for obviously a finals campaign and prepare for this job as well. So I need to get the family back in order. I'll go home for a couple of days, and I think we'll probably come back early next week as a family. Then maybe duck away for a couple of days, have a bit of a break, and get started.
Is the family excited to come over?
They are. I've got 4 children. They're all under 10. 3 girls and a boy. My son's just a little bit apprehensive at the moment, so I promised him an iPad, and he's all good there. So he's
West Coast and probably more.
oh, yeah.
Just a bit of talk about Andrew Gaff when you head back home. When you're at Hawthorn, what kind of player did you make of Andrew? Is he the kind of guy that you want at the club?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely in my plans. I haven't spoken to him yet. I'm unaware of that. But he's a player I think's got huge potential.
Broadly speaking, I know you don't want to sort of individualise about players, but is it a list that needs a tweak, or does it need something more from that?
Yeah, I wish I could answer that with all honesty, but I don't want to get into that discussion because it is disrespectful for the people working here now who are currently managing that list. I'll have influence and impacts in due course, but at the moment I feel uncomfortable trying to dig.
How rigorous was the process? Did it surprise you?
Yeah, it was pretty rigorous. Yeah, lots of psych tests and backup meetings, but it has to be. I mean, the process is so critical to get right. Hopefully, I'm the right man. I'm sure I am. I'm positive I am. So I was happy to jump every hurdle and fly every mile to get over here and have a go.
And what was your reaction when you got the night? When you got the call, or it was told that you were West Coast?
Yeah, I was elated, but at the same time, it was during the flight. As I jumped on the plane, they said, "Well, we've got a meeting with the board. By the time you land, you should know." And I'm thinking, "Well, why am I flying over here for a start?" But it wasn't. Obviously, things had to be ratified and ticked off, so couldn't really get into the celebration of it with the family because it wasn't quite locked away. So I'll touch base, as I said, with the family tomorrow morning.
One of the things we can probably help early education for you is in this town there's a heap of us that are after stuff. You've touched a few times about next week and in time to come. Would you be willing in a week or two's time to do another one of these to bring us up to date a bit more, or do we need to go through the correct channels to choose, and every one of us is going to be chasing you?
Oh, I'll have to talk to the club about that, but I'm pretty open to discussion. Once I'm across things and aware of where things are at, I'm more than happy to chat to anyone. I'm pretty inclusive, and I'm hoping that the media is the same.
It's not just we're only the medium to a pretty big state, so it's a busy time, and if you're willing, it will save you an
They might. I'll talk to the club.
It's probably worth doing in 2 or 3 weeks, but initially Adam needs to get to know everybody, needs to get to know the club and the facilities and the people and the players, and I think it's a good idea. But
some are away, some are here training, which is fantastic.
Met some already.
Are you surprised at that?
Oh, well, in your off season, you've got to touch base every now and then. But from what I've heard, there's been players who've pulled trips, decided to stay back and concentrate on getting their bodies right and getting maybe a slight advantage on pre-seasons, which is fantastic to hear. No, I won't go into that at the moment, but there's a few around, a few leaders, which is good.
Adam, did your son have a buddy jumper, and did you think about
Easy done. He's actually not quite into footy yet. I've been taking him to Auskick, and he's more into Transformers at the moment, so we'll work on that.
We know Nick Nat's in town. Have you had a chance to catch up with him?
No, I haven't. No, I've only met 2 or 3 players that I saw at the club today, and I've spoken to a couple. But my first mission, I suppose, is to touch base with every player. If they're not in the state, I'll speak to them on the phone. But I want to make contact with the leaders and the players as quick as I can.